Hi everyone. I'm going to do today a reading for a new client named Carrie. I'm trying to use this little mic thing, see if it helps hearing me or anything. That way I can also have my computer kind of far from me as I do this. So, because otherwise my microphone is of course built in. So Carrie, I'm going to try something different for you today. Not only am I using a newer deck for me, I'm using a taught kind of spin-off deck, the Liberty Tarot of Stars Eternal deck. And I bought it recently. I really like it so far, so I thought I'd give it a shot reading for you with it. So I've picked out the 4 potential significators for you. I tend to use only queens for my querents. If they are particularly young, then I sometimes use princesses, but I don't know your age, and I'm not going to ask you for your age. So I picked all queens out. So I'm going to let the tarot pick the significator to best represent you for me, and we'll see in this situation what significator best represents you, or perhaps in general. Alright, the winner is the Queen of Discs. Okay. So the Queen of Discs is a usually very practical kind of woman. She's very down to earth. She focuses a lot on her work. Her job and career are very important to her, as are her family and material possessions. I think she's someone who likes to have all of her ducks in a row, so to speak. She's just a very practical kind of person, good with managing of monetary affairs, good at investing, that sort of thing. She's also good at child raising, and is often associated with that, or at least for me, I associate her a lot with motherhood and domesticity, and sort of kind of sort of housewife-ishness, but not really, because she's a lot more active and ambitious and career-oriented than a housewife. But she has a side of her that is very domestic. Okay, so anywho, let's shuffle and see what we get. I invoke thee, E-A-O, that thou wouldst send head of the great angel who art set over the operations of this secret wisdom, that he may lay his hand invisibly upon these consecrated cards of art, and that thereby we may obtain true knowledge of hidden things to the glory of thine ineffable name. Amen. And we're going to do for you today, of course, a Celtic cross, so we'll see what comes up. If your personality does not particularly match what I described for the Queen of Discs, perhaps you are coming to me for financial reasons or career advice. The significator, since I picked it in that way, it doesn't necessarily have to represent you as you are all the time. It can sort of represent your frame of mind in this particular circumstance. So we'll see. Just a few more. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, covering you is the Ace of Cups. And if you don't know my reading style, I like to lay them all out first and then talk about them. Crossing you is death, actually. Crowning you is the Three of Swords. And grounding you is the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Spheres. In the past is the Prince of Wands. And before you is the Seven of Pentacles. How you feel about yourself is lust, or rather how you feel about the situation, rather. You have lust for the environmental, or your house is the Princess of Swords. Hopes and fears are the Chariot. And overall outcome is the Three of Cups. Well, this is interesting. This seems to be a reading very much based on, well, I want to say a romantic interest just because of the sort of obvious presence of symbols that would signify that. It seems to me that you are kind of on the brink, or you're starting some kind of new relationship with someone. But the thing is, it seems that you're having a hard time letting go of a relationship you had with someone in the past. Excuse me. And I feel like you seem to be going back and forth with yourself as to whether or not just your feelings just seem like they are alternating between whoever you have now or whatever situation you have now. I mean, it could be even that you are simply enjoying single life, or something like that. And it could be that that's opening up a new branch of happiness in your life at the moment. But at the same time, you, again, have this person in your past, and they seem to have either they're a naturally very kind of big personality type of person, a strong leader, very adventurous type of person, kind of a big ego, but generally a very generous person as well. Either that's their personality type, or they possibly even went away somewhere. That probably isn't right, though. That doesn't seem right. I think you've just had some sort of breakup with this person. And right now, the interesting thing is that you seem to be very happy, or at least you're telling yourself that you're very happy. You seem very enthusiastic about whatever either new relationship not right now, I'm doing a video, please. Sorry. What was I going to say? Drives me nuts when that happens. So, but you seem very excited about things, and you have just a lot of, you seem kind of teeming with energy, and I don't know if it's romantic energy. It seems like it could be, as if it could be, and that's, the Ace of Cups is insisting upon that. Something new in your life is making you very happy, and at the same time, you have this other thing that you can't let go of entirely. And to be honest with you, I think that you you need to embrace the fact that it's okay to miss this person. You know, it's okay to still have feelings for this person that might not necessarily be, um, what's the word I want? I guess conscious, you know, or even something that you want. I don't think it matters. I think it's okay to grieve in a way, or to still have sadness over it, because your crown card is the Three of Swords, and the crown is always something that you need in this situation. For me, anyway, that's how I tend to see it. I see it as that which has not been manifested, but that really should be manifested. And it's almost as if you are ignoring the fact that you're still sad about it. And you're trying very hard either to live life very largely at the moment. And I feel like you're doing it simply to replace that high energy and high enthusiastic person that you used to have in your life. Does that make sense? You know, and so you keep going back and forth with yourself, you know, and instead of just almost getting angry, perhaps, at the situation and being frustrated about how how crappy a situation it is, because I think it is kind of unfortunate. I mean, as happy as you are right now, you there's also some ends of this that really are depressing for you. Your house is the Princess of Swords, and I feel like that represents you in some way, as putting off this energy of just great frustration and possibly even an anti-male kind of sentiment. And I mean, you just seem a little aggressive right now in general. And I do think that it's overall a way for you to try to cope and to try to cover up the gap that you now have. Okay. And again, it's okay to feel that gap and to acknowledge that gap and to simply let it be. I don't think you need to fill it with something, is kind of what it's saying. Um, Now, in the immediate future, your it seems to suggest that you're going to have some bumps in the immediate future, and possibly having to do with the going back and forth thing, the flip flop that you're doing, at least in your head. And it could even be that you, well, I don't know if you are still kind of, uh, I don't know, I just feel this inability to get out of a rut in your future. I think it's going to take a long time for you to cycle out the garbage that you still have left, which is what death is trying to do, that you're having a hard time with here. You know, I feel like that's not going to get much easier for you in the future if you continue this in this approach. Okay. Now, your hopes and fears, yeah, I mean, you want to come out. You're the Chariot over here for your hopes and fears, and so you want to come out on top of this. You want to overcome the difficulty that this has presented you with. It's almost like you're seeing this as an obstacle that you have to just get over. You know, that you have to be the stronger woman here and just reject him and forget about him and, you know, be your own independent person again, or just enjoy other relationships for the time. And I, th- I think your fear, though, in that, I don't know, you're afraid to, I'm not sure, you're afraid of letting go, I think. You're afraid of letting go of this situation. I feel like it's something that you've had tight reins on for a long time, if that makes sense. And letting go of the reins of this relationship is just really hard for you. I I don't know, that just kind of popped in my head, and it seemed right. And I really just think you're going to just keep digging your hole a little bit deeper if you keep fighting against it, you know? Now, I don't know what this person did to cause you to break up with them, or uh, I don't know, but I just don't see you being able to make room for someone new in your life, which is possibly what you're trying to do now. I don't see you being able to successfully make room for this new person until you address the fact that you are not over your previous significant other. You just aren't over it yet. And it's saying that that's okay. I think you're rushing quite a bit into this new situation, and I think it seems very attractive, but it seems attractive because you don't really know a lot about it. Does that make sense? It, because it's so new, it's probably a new person in your life entirely. You probably don't know them particularly well, and I think that eventually, you will come to know this person, and I think you will end up forming a relationship with this person. Your overall result is the Three of Cups, and that does seem to represent taking whatever seed this relationship is in and turning it into something. But what I don't see is the connecting thought. You go from the Ace of Cups and jump right to the Three of Cups, and there's no love yet to make it really worthwhile. And that is something that kind of concerns me. I think you're going to want to solidify this quicker than it needs to be solidified. Um, and the bottom of your deck is interesting too. The bottom of your deck has the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Swords for me always represents a choice. It always represents the will to choose something that you either want or need. And in this case, I see this as you deliberately choosing to end this relationship and make something new for yourself, and choosing to be without this person. And, possibly this other person that you were with just is very different from you. Because this reading has nothing to do with finances or work or anything like that. Everything I was talking about with the Queen of Pentacles really has to do with your personality. And so you are kind of a homebody, and you're, again, very practical and very sensible and good with money, and just that's your thing. That's your groove. You're very down to earth lady. And I think that this former partner of yours is the total opposite of that. And if anything, was a little too crazy for you. But maybe that's what you liked about him, and possibly just didn't realize it. Because something is definitely missing. Something feels missing for you right now. And you part of this choice may be that you're choosing to ignore the fact that what's actually missing is this person and whatever they brought to your life that you loved, you know. And that's okay, really. Um, Below that is a little confusing. But I think everything else makes a lot of clarity. I'm going to draw one more card to clarify the Three of Cups. And yeah, you got the Tower for clarifying the Three of Cups. And so I think that what I was saying about the Three of Cups before is fairly accurate. You know, with the Tower, it shows that whatever relationship you end up creating, either again, if you have someone new in your life that you're kind of toying around with dating or not, if and when you do make that relationship, it's probably going to end fairly quickly. Or, yeah, I mean, the Tower just spells destruction for it down the road. And I think that is because there isn't that space. You know, you haven't, in some ways, you haven't cleared away the foundation of the previous relationship you were in. And so you cannot seek to build a solid new foundation on the rubble of what is left over. You need a clear space, you know? Otherwise, the building that you create, the relationship you create, is not going to have a firm basis and is going to collapse. So I think that if this relationship, this new one, is actually something that really matters to you, and if it's a person that you really do care about, then you might want to just wait on it and wait for your heart to kind of deal with all this a little bit more. Wait until you're no longer mad. And when you're no longer mad, that's when you'll know you're over it. You know, because right now you are very clearly still mad. And it's almost like you just want to get back at him, too. It's almost one of those things, too. Like you want to prove that you're doing better than he is now that you've broken up. And it's not working for you. It really isn't. And it doesn't mean that you have to go back to him, and it doesn't mean that you have to show a poor face to him either. But it does mean that you need a little more time. Okay? So let me see if there's anything else I can pull here from this. You have a small emphasis on Saturn, but and it's mostly here because death represents Saturn. It doesn't really have anything to do with Saturn, but it represents Saturn. It sort of has light connections to Saturn because of Venus, but they're very light. And this is Saturn, the Three of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles is Saturn. So you do have this sort of Saturnine combo here. If you think about Capricorn as a sign in which, what is it, Saturn rules it or is exalted, but it's a Saturnine sign. So I suppose you could say this whole section is a little Saturn-y, which is kind of interesting. Which would imply just this big standstill right now, or this big length of time, and this big oppressiveness that you're possibly feeling. You know, just a weight, and shaking yourself out of it is proving difficult. Now, let's see if there's anything else. We have Earth, Fire, Fire, Water, Air, Huh. It just seems a little jumbled, and the fire is disconnected.
which is interesting. It's almost like the actual the passion that you're feeling right now, you're kind of deluding yourself, if I can be frank. The amount of passion you're feeling is just not quite the same without this other person. I'm sorry, it just that's what it keeps saying. You know, this person that you had this connection with was really good and was good for you. I think you had a really strong relationship. And right now, your emotions are sort of bisected by your physical condition and is also kind of diagonally cut by the anger and frustration you feel. So it's like you're not your emotional uh, substance or structure is just being way too bombarded by the fluctuation of your opinion on the situation, the fluctuation of the situation in general, and your anger. And I think until you negotiate the conflict between your anger and your indecision about the whole thing, or your sort of inability to firmly commit to making up your mind, you will continue to have a difficult time both getting over it and finding something else, someone else eventually down the road. Um, and I want to say that that's kind of it. And the the Lust card is so clearly connected to the Prince of Wands, both in the fact that they're both Leo. They're the only Leo that you have. They're the only fire you have in the whole reading. I don't really count extra cards when I do this, but you don't have any other fire, and so the actual passion or zeal that you have, again, if you have someone sort of new that you're cultivating a relationship with, if you feel passion for this person, it probably is quite limited compared to what you're used to, and you possibly are convincing yourself otherwise. So I do think that this is a situation where you just need to give it time. I think the overall message of this is just give it time, be patient with it, and allow yourself to grieve. It doesn't make you weak, and it doesn't make you less of an independent person if you grieve the loss of someone else in your life. It doesn't diminish you in any way. And I think that you feel like it would in some way, and I don't know why, I just get that vibe from you. And really, I think just give yourself that space. Give yourself the space in general. Give yourself space. That makes so much sense to say. I mean, there's so much Saturn here. You need space. And yeah, I think that's about all I can say. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope that that made sense, and helps you to deal with the situation. If you have any particular questions or concerns, comments, whatever feedback, I am always more than happy to hear them. And I hope that this was to your satisfaction. And it's always nice to have a new client to read for, and hopefully I'll get to read for you again sometime soon. All right, thank you very much, and take care, and best of luck to you in your situation and in life. Bye-bye.